So the next concept I'd like to introduce is the psychology of sales. Really, it can be said that sales is a game of psychology. It's all conducted at the subtle level of communication, making people's feelings important, that sort of thing. Several principles we'll touch on in this segment, being the Pareto principle, positive self-talk, and really addressing what customers need to hear to feel good about it. But yeah, John, if you want to address the Pareto principle, I think it's a really good fit for you, being that it dictates the idea that the top performers in the industry are the top earners. And John's probably been in the industry longer than anyone else, been a top producer in many different companies. He's the president of sales here, has a master's degree in business and communication, pretty well qualified to talk about being the best at what you do.
Cool, thanks Jay. Yeah, when I was getting my MBA, that was a study that they talked about quite extensively in some of my sales classes was what they call the Pareto principle. But really what they found in all these major Fortune 500 companies, pretty much any sales organization, is that there is 20% of the sales reps that are getting 80% of the total sales volume for the company. And so the goal is to understand the psychology of selling to move into that 20%. And then there's another top 20% of that 20%, or the top 4% overall, that they call the peak performers. And they earn 10 times the amount of money that the average sales rep earns. And so understanding this is going to be a big deal. You know, Jay, he's our corporate trainer. He was number 1 last year. Like this summer, you're going to go out, you're going to knock 7 hours, Jay's going to knock 7 hours. Jay might come back with 6 or 7 sales, and you might come back with, 0 or 1. And you're pretty much doing the same thing through the day. You're knocking on doors, you're talking to people about DirecTV. It's just the masters, the peak performers, they've fine-tuned so many little things that we'll go over in this manual. They understand the psychology of sales and the psychology of communicating with other human beings so well that they're able to earn 10 times the money. In fact, one of my favorite books about sales is called The Psychology of Selling. It's by Brian Tracy. And right there at the very beginning, he introduces a concept about 2 horses in the Kentucky Derby. One wins first place, the other takes second place just by a nose, by a little bit. But the winning horse earns 10 times the amount of prize money as the horse that got second. Same thing with sales. The person that really teaches themselves the most and really puts the time in and the dedication and has 2 attributes. One, good attitude, and the second one is discipline, to stick to it. The person that masters those 2 things and puts it in and understands the psychology will earn the most money. So.
One concept I think that goes hand in hand with that, and the encouragement I'd like to give you guys, is that every top performer, every person that's ever made it to the top of any company, started off in the bottom 10%. It's a rite of passage, it's a skill set, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, it's not a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's an art form that we're going to try to help you master. And the key to really mastering that, or any skill set, is improving a little bit every day. It's on the totem pole of our core values of the company, and it's something that's just really important to achieving anything, whether it's learning how to cook or play a guitar or master the sales. If you take what you know today and you grow that a little bit more for tomorrow, then tomorrow you'll be better than you are today. You'll always get better, you'll always earn more, and you'll constantly be pushing towards that top percent. One way to do that, and I think this was really important for me when I was first learning, I have a really positive self-talk. My self-talk is what you're communicating in your head. A lot of times people have negative self-talk. They'll be talking about doubts or fears or concerns or I'm not good enough, and it's not really helping them get where they want to go. And it takes a little work at first, but a good psychology exercise is I just tell myself, I love myself, I'm amazing, I love my job, I'm the best. And I say that over and over and over again in my head. Eventually, it starts to get stuck on repeat. You start to believe it. Your mind, you're basically force-feeding your mind positivity, and eventually it starts regurgitating that back out to you. So the thoughts that are just background noise in your head start being supportive, helping, and it's a really good psychological game to improve.
Yeah, that's actually awesome you mentioned that, Jay, because that goes right in line with Zig Ziglar, Tom Hopkins, and Brian Tracy. They're 3 of the top sales trainers, in the world. but they all talk about that psychology of positive self-talk. So really, if you want to make more money, wake up every morning, look in the mirror, and say to yourself 10 times, I like myself. I mean, it sounds silly, it sounds funny, but I promise you, you'll start earning more money just from that one simple step. Because that's the psychology of getting your mind in the right mindset to go communicate to others and help them, purchase our product. So, any other things you want to add on the psychology?
As far as psychology goes, I also think it pays to have an understanding of what's going on for the customer and their psychology. We'll address them more in different sections, but you should, one, be aware that initially when we knock on the door, the customer may not be that thrilled to see you. Chances are he was busy and doing other stuff. Being courteous of that, understanding that is really important. The other thing I think it definitely pays to understand right off the bat is in sales we're making persuasive arguments. And in order to make a really good persuasive argument, you have to start with stuff that people already agree with. You can't give them new information and expect them to take your assertion as fact.
That's a good point.
So the psychology game there is we want to identify stuff that people already know, they already agree with, and use that to make a logical equation towards our point, which is this is probably the best move for you. Understanding and being aware of what your customer's communicating to you, their facial expressions, reading them, that'll pay dividends later on. Just mastering your interpersonal communication.
No, that's awesome. And just to kind of finish up this segment, you made me think of something, Jay. The core value of the company, I always like to say to myself, is we are a stepping stone to something greater. There's some of you watching this that have joined the company that will be with us for 10 years, and grow up and, become a sales manager, then a regional manager, then a divisional vice president. Who knows? One of you watching this might, replace me as president of the company someday. But whether you do that or not, it's a stepping stone to something greater. A lot of you guys will go on, start your own companies, become doctors, lawyers, whatever it is. You're going to go do amazing things in this world. The reason Now exists is to help you be better, is to turn out better individuals to go out into the world and make a difference. And so whether you're with us for 1 year or 10, learning these skills, learning the psychology is going to be huge for whatever you do for the rest of your life. Because being able to communicate with people and sell yourself and to sell your concepts and your ideas is a huge thing. Nothing in this world moves, nothing happens until a sale is made. And we have a little club called Elite Producers. Our symbol is the Atlas Man, but not going into that too much. But at Now Communications, we want to teach you to be the kind of person that can put the world on your shoulders and make things happen. Which means if things go to crap in the economy, even if this company goes out of business, we want you to learn the skills and principles that it takes to go start your own or to go get another sales job or to go provide for your family and really make your neighborhood, your community in this world a better place. And as you were talking about all the psychology of these things like that, that hit me. It made me realize that's why we do this. That's why we're in business. That's why it's important to watch the rest of these videos, is to master the art of selling, understand that psychology, because it really will help you, not just in your time with here, but for the rest of your life.